Hi, if you're new here, my name is Rejoice, and if you're coming back, hi. Before we get into the video, my Instagram handle is Josie_02. If you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'll suggest that you do follow me on my Instagram. That's the platform I'll be using to communicate with you guys. So yeah, let's get straight into the video. I strongly suggest that you do say a quick prayer before you start asking the Holy Spirit to help you understand what we're going to be talking about, because the word is spiritual, and if you want to understand it, you have to be really spiritually. So I do suggest that you pause and you do say a quick prayer, just asking the Holy Spirit to help you understand. It can literally be 2 seconds, as long as you say what you need to say and just ask the Holy Spirit to help you understand. So as you can see from the title, we're going to be talking about walking in the Spirit, and the verse that we're going to read from is Galations chapter 5 verse 16. It says, "I say then, walk in the Spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusts against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary to one another." So before we get into that, every human being is a spirit, right? And we live in a body. So basically, when you get born again, your spirit gets born again, but your body doesn't get born again. So as we've seen in verse 17, it says that the things that your flesh desires and the things that your spirit desires are contrary. If you look again at verse 16, let me just read it with another version. At first, when I read verse 16, I read it with New King James. I don't know if I mentioned that, but now I'm reading it with Amplified, right? And it says, "But I say, walk habitually in the Holy Spirit, seek Him and be responsive to His guidance, and then you'll certainly not carry out the desires of the sinful nature, which is the flesh." Like with this version, they refer to the flesh as the sinful nature, which responds impulsively without regard for God and His precepts. So with this version, they explain what it is to walk in the Spirit. Walking in the Spirit is basically seeking the Holy Spirit first of all, and secondly being responsive to His guidance. As Christians, the Holy Spirit guides us, so they basically saying be responsive to that. When He guides you to read the word or to pray or whatever, they saying you must be responsive to that, basically mean that you must obey that. So walking in the Spirit just means that you must seek God and also be responsive to when the Holy Spirit guides you. Remember, we mentioned how you have the Spirit and you have the flesh, and they desires are contrary. So one has to be dominant at the end of the day, and that depends on what we do. If we seek Him and we're responsive, then the Spirit will be dominant. But if we don't do that, if we don't seek Him and if we're not responsive to His guidance, then our flesh will be dominant. And if our flesh is dominant, going back to what we read, then we'll fulfill the lust of the flesh. In verse 19, it talks about, it gives examples of the desires of the flesh, I guess. It says, "Now the works of the flesh are evident, which are adultery, fornication, uncleanness, envy, murders, drunkenness," and the list goes on. So yeah, it goes on. So you can just read, if you want to know what they are, you can just read Galatians 5 verse 19 to 21. So basically, if you read that and you see that maybe you're struggling with one of those or whatever, then the solution obviously is to now walk in the Spirit. So now the question is, how do you seek God? And you do that by doing the basic building blocks of Christianity. That is prayer, making sure you make time to pray, reading the word, and actually not reading and meditating on it, because I feel like reading and meditating is 2 different things. You can't read the word like you're reading a novel, because I feel like you're not going to get anything. Like for example, with this verse that we just did, like if we just read it and said, okay, walk by the Spirit, and then close, then we're done, I feel like you're not going to get anything. Refuse to read the word and not get anything, because I feel like that can happen when you read and you don't understand it, or you don't learn anything. So make sure that when you read it, you understand it first of all, and you learn something, and you can only understand with the help of the Holy Spirit. And that goes back to praying before you read the word, be it you being on your own, or maybe also like in church, like before a sermon. I think it is important to also pray before listening to a sermon, and also asking the Holy Spirit to help you to understand. Also, something that I do that I find helpful is asking yourself like what you learned. Like you read something, you read something and then you're like, okay, fine, what did I learn? I learned that you must do this, and then also make it a responsibility to go and actually do that. Make sure that you try practice that. Then the third thing you can do is also just going to church, like physically. But if you can't do that, there are online sermons and stuff that you can watch or whatever, but I still feel like going there physically will be better, because you get to be in like God's manifested presence. So yeah, those three things, I think those are the things that you can do to seek Him. Also, when we read the other version, it says that you must do it habitually, meaning that it must be a habit, meaning that seeking God and also being responsive to His guidance, you must try to do that on a daily, because He also does say in His word in Joshua 1:8, you should meditate on the word day and night. So basically you should do these things daily. You should walk in the Spirit daily. It's actually really important that we take care of ourselves spiritually, because if you don't walk in the Spirit, if you don't take care of yourself spiritually by doing the things I mentioned, such as prayer, such as going to church, such as reading the word, meditating rather, your spirit becomes weak, and I feel like it's easy for you to fall into like various things that the devil brings your way. So yeah, it's very important to take care of yourself spiritually, because if you think about it, we sometimes tend to focus too much on the flesh. Like when it comes to like our physical body, you feed it, or take care of it rather, with food, like feeding yourself food and showering, those kind of things. But we sometimes neglect our spirit. Like with our flesh, we'll make sure that we bath, we make sure that we eat and all those kind of things, but spiritually we starve ourselves. So with this, I just want to encourage us to also remember that we have a spirit, we should feed it as well. And also another thing, if you're not sure yet of like how the Holy Spirit talks to you, like as you pray more, as you read more of the word, as you go to church, when you do those things, you end up knowing how He speaks to you. Same thing like with like people. Like if someone is to come to the door now and it's my brother, I would know that it's him, because I've talked to him ever since he was born. So like I know what he sounds like, because I've talked to him so much, and I'm so sure, okay, that this is my brother. So also same thing with God. Like if you continue doing what you need to do, if you continue praying, if you continue reading the word, if you continue going to church, that way you are exposing yourself to Him, you're spending more time with Him, and that way you'll be able to tell that, okay, fine, the Holy Spirit is talking to me. So with that being said, okay, the lesson for this was that you should walk in the Holy Spirit, and basically you do that by being obedient to Him when He's guiding you, and also seeking God. And when you walk in the Spirit, that way you won't fulfill the lusts of the flesh. So yeah, we've come to the end of our first mini sermon. I was about to say Friday. We've come to the end of our first mini sermon Monday. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I hope you were encouraged to to continue with your Christian walk, to walk in the Spirit. So yeah, if you enjoyed, please do give the video a thumbs up, do share the link, and do let me know in the comments if it was helpful, if you got something, if you were encouraged, if you were inspired, all those things. So yeah, that's it for today. I will be seeing you on Monday when I post my second lifestyle video. And yeah,